Recently, I've been getting a lot of clarity with the things that I've been consuming, with the habits that I've been doing, and what I identify myself to be, who I think of myself. Um, I've always been very into philosophy and literature and any kind of motivational perspective. And you see a lot of those on reels. Sometimes you find them, sometimes they find you when you're not looking for it. And I've been going out of my way to look for them now on YouTube, watching long form content, trying to watch all of these and put them down in my own words, my interpretation out of them. Because you can see a lot of things and they don't really stick with you. And you can forget that feeling that you had, that revelation that you had. So recently I've been jotting everything down in my journal, and I wanted to share that today. So today's theme is sort of like letting go or shedding old beliefs and making room for new ones. So something I wrote, I believe this weekend, it's something I saw on Pinterest talking about how there was just a picture that said, normalize not telling anyone anything. And any point before now, I would have agreed. I've always considered myself a very private person, keeping my wins or my losses to myself because I didn't want anybody else's opinion to shift my way of viewing it and my way of feeling. And I've been very accustomed to not getting anybody else's perspective besides my family, only. But when I checked the comments, I saw one that specifically stood out to me. And it said, if you're not sharing who you are, how would your energy flow? How would you give people new perspectives, new ideas, and new insights? You can't be scared of that. You can't be scared of rejection. Not everyone will understand you, and not everyone has to. And those who will are your people. Let them find you and let yourself find them. It is very interesting because this also connects to another quote, I think a Dostoevsky quote that said, and in the end I'm paraphrasing, but in the end you'll come to realize that you betrayed yourself for nothing, or it was all along. But I believe that if in your circle you don't feel like you can share certain things and that people wouldn't be happy for you or that people would say anything, then that immediately tells you a lot about who you're hanging out with and that it's not reflecting who you are as a person. I feel like it is important to learn the skill of categorizing people, of saying, okay, like, when I talk to this person about certain things, it doesn't really go anywhere or they're not really good with that kind of conversation. So you compartmentalize. So then you're like, okay, you don't have to cut people off or you don't have to do things like that, but just, it is an important skill to learn of compartmentalization. I said it wrong. And just recognizing who would be happy for you and who you can share things with, and not being afraid of being happy and showing signs that you are enjoying your life and that you're doing good, even if it doesn't compare to what anybody else is doing, And that's something that I've learned recently. Sometimes I keep the best parts of my life to myself. That way it's untainted by what anybody else would say or how it would make them feel or any kind of thing. I'm very highly pensive and very thoughtful, and I think about what I could say and how somebody would feel and if it might make them feel bad or anything like that. But that's not my problem at the end of the day, because whenever somebody tells me something, I am happy for them, and I'm not coming from a place of lack, and I'm not coming from a place of comparison. I'm genuinely happy for them, because the people around me want different things, and even if they wanted the same things, they're entirely different people. They think differently, they do things differently, so I could never feel like there's not enough for me. There's more than enough for everybody, you know? And yeah, so I've thought about a lot that this is something that I've come to realize I do quite often, is I will keep the best parts of my life to myself, and I will only say the most mediocre things to others. And I'm sort of being untrue to myself in that way. And that's something that I've recently thought about. It's like, even as I am applying for jobs, these things that I tend to do with friendships and with, other people, or the way that I tend to act, is gonna come out in those sort of ways as well. When you have an interview and they ask you, what are your strengths and weaknesses, for example, and this is something that, even though it might be common knowledge, just like, when they ask you that question, and it may be a simple job, it's not, some office job, it may just be a simple job that you can literally say anything, and as long as you show up, you get the job, But we will take that and we will be personal with it. We'll think, oh, like, my biggest strengths are that I'm, empathetic to people, and I can read people's emotions, and, whatever. And then your weakness can be, oh, like, I once said in an interview, time management. And I got personal with it, and that was my mistake. But they mean your strengths and weaknesses as it applies to the job. And I, it seems like common knowledge, this is something that changed my viewpoint. Because when I first came out of that interview, I'm like, why am I not selling myself to people? Why am I not giving out my best qualities? Why, when someone asks my best qualities or how you define yourself as, it's a blank, Because we're constantly trying to improve ourselves and raise the bar, and to the point that all we are familiar with are our weaknesses and the things that we have to improve on, without ever taking a look at all the other great list of qualities that you have. So it is important in life to sell yourself to your best ability and be truthful, Be truthful. Show how excited you are about life, Romanticize the little things that you do. Could be your bedtime routine and how you unwind. You put a lavender diffuser on, and you have this pillow spray, and you put on a face mask. Whatever it may be, like, those are things that maybe it sounds boring to you and it's a routine, but it is something you look forward to, and it's something you enjoy, and you can be truthful to yourself by saying it and expressing it in the best way you know how. Yeah, just recently I've been updating my old beliefs and digging a little bit more and journaling a little bit more. Every time that I see something that I really resonate with, it's not enough to just see something and be like, that's so real. It's good to analyze these things and incorporate them into your life and question why is it that you've been acting contrary to this, and what makes it now make sense to you, and what are the behaviors that you've been repeatedly doing that don't align with that, and that you can catch yourself next time the opportunity arises, and you're like, this is the test of how I'm going to incorporate this quote from just reading it to me putting it into practice. And this year, I am pensive in the way in which I'm thinking a lot more about these things that sound right to me, but I'm not making myself feel bad for whatever way that I've acted before. You know, you've got to be kind to yourself in the process of bettering yourself. You've got to be grateful for the stuff that you have in the process of working for the stuff that you want. It's all gratitude, and it's all being kind, and it's all really seeing yourself, good parts and bad parts. And that's all I really wanted to share about today, since it's been on my mind a lot recently, and maybe this helps anybody. Thank you.